A rock?
Yes.
A toy?
Also yes.
Are we building something?
No.
Then what are these?
Fountain pens.
No, they're not.
Unfortunately, they are.
Fountain pens are supposed to be simple. A reservoir of ink, a nib, a piece of paper. That's it.
Seems straightforward.
You'd think so, but somewhere along the way, a few manufacturers stopped asking how to make better pens and started asking much stranger questions. Questions like, what if we ignored common sense? What if practicality was optional? What if writing became the least interesting part of the pen? And perhaps the strangest question of all, what if we charged the price of a house?
I'm starting to think nobody involved in this industry was supervised.
That suspicion will only get stronger from here.
Let's start with the Visconti Homo sapiens, a fountain pen made using basaltic lava from Mount Etna in Italy. Actual volcanic material, not inspired by lava, not colored like lava, lava.
Okay, but why?
That's exactly the right question. According to Visconti, the material is durable, comfortable to hold, and gives the pen a unique texture. And to be fair, collectors quickly embraced it. The Homo sapiens became one of the most recognizable fountain pens in the hobby.
So the idea actually worked?
Apparently, which is impressive. Most companies see a volcano and think about natural disasters. Visconti saw a volcano and thought about office supplies. Somehow, both approaches are valid. The strangest part is that once you've seen a pen made from volcanic lava, ordinary plastic starts feeling a little boring.
I wasn't expecting the volcano pen to be the reasonable one.
Neither was I, and somehow it gets stranger.
Take the Namiki Emperor. This pen is famous for two things: its craftsmanship and its size. Namiki's Emperor is handcrafted in Japan and covered in traditional urushi lacquer, a process that can take months to complete. The workmanship is extraordinary. The dimensions are harder to explain.
How big are we talking?
Big enough that when people call it oversized, they're being extremely polite. A normal fountain pen disappears in your hand. The Emperor arrives with its own zip code.
Was there a reason they made it that large?
A larger body allows for a much larger ink capacity and creates a more dramatic canvas for the lacquer work, which makes perfect sense. The Emperor can hold far more ink than most fountain pens. The problem is that it also looks like someone accidentally enlarged a fountain pen.
Do people actually use something that big?
They do, which proves that fountain pen people occasionally have a very different definition of practical. Now, after a pen made from lava and another one the size of a small baton, you'd think manufacturers would start making more sensible decisions. Instead, Pilot decided to hide the nib. This is the Pilot vanishing point, a fountain pen whose nib retracts into the body with the click of a button.
Wait, a retractable fountain pen?
Exactly, which immediately raises a question. Why spend centuries developing one of the most recognizable pen designs in history only to make it disappear? The mechanism is genuinely impressive. The engineering is excellent, but there's still something slightly absurd about a fountain pen that seems determined not to look like a fountain pen.
Does it actually work well?
Surprisingly well, which somehow makes it even stranger. Most unusual ideas fail. This one succeeded, and that may be the weirdest part. Unfortunately, common sense was only taking a short break, because then we arrive at the Monte Grappa Viking, and this is where fountain pens start looking less like writing instruments and more like movie props. Monte Grappa has a long history of creating extravagant pens, but the Viking might be one of the most excessive. The pen is covered with intricate metalwork, Viking-inspired details, and enough decoration to keep your eyes busy for several minutes.
Who is this actually for?
Someone who looked at an ordinary fountain pen and said, "Not enough Vikings," and somehow Monte Grappa agreed. The remarkable thing is that this isn't a novelty product. It's a serious luxury pen. Collectors genuinely buy these. As if the Viking warrior wasn't enough, it also comes with a sword that doubles as a letter opener.
You're joking.
I wish I was. At that point, the writing experience is almost competing with the accessories. And if that wasn't enough, the whole thing weighs hundreds of grams, which is impressive for a pen and slightly concerning for a handheld object. Nobody sees this pen and immediately wonders how smoothly it writes. They wonder why it looks prepared to invade England. And if you think we've reached the peak of absurdity, we haven't. Not even close. Because eventually, somebody looked at all of these pens and said, "Nice. But what if we also added a small fortune?" That's where Mont Blanc's high artistry collection enters the conversation. These are some of the most expensive fountain pens ever created. Certain editions sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some have reached prices that cross into 7 figures.
For a pen?
That's the funny part. At that price, it's barely a pen anymore.
Part sculpture, part jewelry, part status symbol. The writing function is almost secondary.
Who actually uses something like that?
I suspect very few people, because once a pen costs more than a house, every signature starts feeling financially irresponsible.
So were all fountain pens this ridiculous?
No, most of them are perfectly normal.
That's reassuring.
The problem is that normal fountain pens are usually boring. The weird ones are much more fun to talk about. If you enjoyed this one, subscribe, because the deeper you dig into this hobby, the stranger it gets. And trust me, we're nowhere near the bottom yet.